In today's quick guide, we're going to cover the major mechanic that appear in all 6 of Brute Protocol Star Residence Dungeon. Do you know that this video only covered the major mechanics and not necessarily every single attack that the boss can do? The first mechanics begin in the Goblin dungeon, where you spawn a bunch of small goblins carrying the elemental shields over their head. You and your team should heavily prioritize and DPS these 2 goblins with the shield down very quickly, as you want to pick up their shield after for the upcoming mechanics. Shortly after, the goblin is going to do a linear charge attack, but thanks to killing the 2 goblins, there's going to be a safe spot that open up. Make sure that 2 people have picked up the shield. Ideally, it's going to be the tank and the healer so that DPS can freely DPS, but the 2 shield is going to be used for the upcoming major mechanics, which is going to be the electric ball. The goblin is going to raise up a shield and he's going to shoot out an electric ball to a certain direction. Using the 2 shield, you have to bounce and redirect the ball around the shield that you have put up to hit the goblin so that it will electrify him instead. Failing to do this mechanics will result in a wipe in Master Mode. Another major attack that the goblin can do is going to be these electric fields, which he'll summon all over the floor, and he'll also take away your ability to use your dashes, which is your right click. So you have to physically walk out these electric fields to prevent yourself from taking damage. The second dungeon to cover today is going to be the Tenten dungeon. The Tenten dungeon has a very specific mechanics, which is the hot potato mechanics, indicated by this purple ring under one of your team. When you have the voice sigils, you're going to get a debuff timer that appear at the bottom left of your screen. You must pass the voice sigil onto your teammate using the special attack key before the timer expires. You will want to pass the sigil to anyone but the tank until Tina does the void purify attack, in which case you want to finally pass it to the tank. Tina will eventually do the purify attack, where the tank must get hit by it in order to cleanse the void sigil. The next mechanics is going to be the clone mechanics. Tina is going to spawn 3 clones across the map and they're going to all slowly walk toward her. Some of them walk faster, so prioritize the one that walk faster first. Your goal here is to kill these clones before they reach Tina because it will enhance her next attack. This attack here will do damage no matter what, so if you're a tank or a support, you should use damage reduction skills, but it will do significantly more damage based on the amount of clones that have hit the boss. The next mechanics to talk about is more like a cutscene mechanics. There's going to be 4 bookcases that spawn across the map, as well as it's going to get this like top-down angle. What you have to do is look at Tina and then find the bookcase toward your right. So in this case, it's going to be the one on our right. And then she's going to swipe her spear across the map. You have to use the bookcase to teleport across the spear to prevent yourself from taking the damage here. And always teleport to the opposite side of the bookcase. And you have to do this twice. If you see her doing this attack marking everyone with a big circle, this is actually a split indicator. So your team should split it up to avoid overlapping the circle, as she will go to everyone and slash it in a big radius. And the final attack to talk about is going to be this like pizza looking attack, where she's going to attack majority of the map except with 1 pizza safe zones. And this safe zone is going to repeatedly repeat either clockwise or counterclockwise, so you have to just keep going towards the safe zones. Next up is going to be the Rune dungeon, which has 2 major mechanics. The first mechanics begin when he teleports everyone but the tank into a separate dimension. In the second dimension, you're going to find these ads, these mobs that you have to kill, which will then drop an energy ball, and you have to run over the energy ball to collect them. Your goal here is to collect to a 100 energy to open the dimensional portal again. The boss is going to start spinning outside toward the tank, and you just have to kite the boss around. However, once you have collected 100 energy, there's going to be 4 dimensional portals that appear, except for the tank. The tank is only going to see 1, so the tank must guide the rest of the team toward the correct dimensional portal and then open the portal once everyone has stand on top of the portal. This is going to create a barrier that shields you from the next attack from the bosses, so make sure everyone is on top of the portal before you open it up. The next mechanics to cover is going to be the laser mechanics. So there's going to be 2 lasers shooting at the boss from each side, and you have to tank and block the lasers from reaching the boss to prevent him from powering up. You're going to need 2 people on each side, but ideally the healer should stay out of it to heal the rest of the team to keep the rest of the team healthy, as these lasers do damage. When you are low in HP and when you have taken too much damage, be sure to switch out with the other person blocking the lasers on the same side so that you don't die. Next up, we have Kamania trial, which is the fastest dungeon available in the game. A quick tip for this dungeon is that when it asks you which trial you want to do, select the Faith trial. The first mechanics is like a soul separation mechanics. You and your team should spread out on the edges of the map to drop the soul so that they are relatively far away from each other. This is going to be used for the upcoming soul pool mechanics, but the too long didn't read is that the soul will basically pull you in, and if you stack all of them at the similar spot, the gravitational pull force is going to be really strong. You want to drop the soul on the edges of the map, and then ideally you drag the boss and yourself back to the centers to minimize the gravitational force being pulled by the souls so that you don't get sucked into the souls. The soul's gonna explode and then shoot out a bunch of ball after, so just avoid them. The next attack to talk about is going to be this flame attack. The flame attack will leave a AoE on the floor, so ideally you want to stack them all together. Usually most people like to stack them all toward the north where the doors are, and you want to stack them together so that they're not interrupting the rest of the arena. The final mechanics to talk about is the free spear mechanics. This one is pretty straightforward. There's going to be free spear that he spawned. You just have to break all of them at relatively the similar time. They all have to be DPS down to 0 HP at the same time. This dungeon is very easy, very fast to do. Definitely the most recommended dungeon to farm in the entire game. The next dungeon on the list is going to be Dragon Claw Valley. The first mechanics is going to be summoning the Wind Spirit. Note that the Wind Spirit will summon on your position, so ideally you and your team would want to group to kill them quickly together. I think supposedly they're supposed to drop a buff after you kill them that you can pick up. This boss has an interesting cutscene attack where he'll fly away to victory and just spawn a bunch of tornado. Just simply walk across the tornado at the safe zone, so there's going to be a bunch of tornado. Each set is going to have one spot that is a safe path that you can walk across, so just walk accordingly. In the second half of this fight, the boss is going to fly away to victory again onto the floating island, so here you have to chase after him using your float skills to go on top. One of the things that to watch out for is going to be the giant arrow attack that usually go on the tank. The person who is selected to do the mechanics here need to fly to a different platform to avoid damaging the rest of their team. The final dungeon in today's video is going to be the Denver Fortress dungeon. Now before we begin, this dungeon has a special corruption mechanics which will stack over time, and you can remove the corruption on you and your entire party by using a purify device. You can see the same purification device being in the corner of the boss room as well. Do remember about them because they will be important for the upcoming mechanics later. One of the important things to be careful of is that throughout this fight, he's going to have these puddle spawning attack. Make sure to stack the puddle on top of each other if possible, because they will remain for the entire fight. With that being said, before the first major mechanics begin, you and your team should group at the bottom left of the map to cleanse before the upcoming mechanics. For the mechanics, he's going to do like a Bankai animation, and one person, usually the tank, has to go into the middle and interact with the bubble to block the Bankai. The rest of the party member has to run around and collect these purple orbs flying into the tank to prevent them from reaching the tank, while simultaneously letting the yellow ball go through. If you enter this mechanic successfully, he's going to enter phase 2. However, just before phase 2 begins, I highly recommend you and your group go back to grouping at the bottom left of the corner to do a second cleanse. You'll also notice that a wall is spawned in the middle of the map. You can cross the wall, however, when you do cross it, your entire team will take damage. So ideally, you only cross it if necessary for specific mechanics, and you all cross it at the same time. Always remember to group and cleanse your void corruption stacks with the purification device, and a good timing to cleanse is right after you cross the wall. Everyone go group up at the outer purification device and do a quick cleanse. Now supposedly this boss has a phase 3 where there's going to be a gold orb that spawned in the middle, and activating it activate phase 3. There's going to be a massive puppet that slowly chases after the tank, and the tank has to carry it out, while everyone else has to DPS Denver before he eventually killed you. There's also going to be these like fragment of people that spawn. The healer can heal these fragments to cleanse the rest of the party, so that's supposed to be, it's basically like a final DPS rush. I've actually never seen anyone enter the phase 3. I think they might have removed it. Even on the hardest and the highest difficulty at N20, people still doesn't really enter phase 3, so I'm not really sure when phase 3 really happened, but I think they might have removed it, and I feel like this normally you would never ever encounter. I've never encountered phase 3 throughout my time of playing. If you ever need a refresher of any of these mechanics, the in-game guide actually do a very good job. If you come to the gameplay, you can see that the game lists out all the major mechanics that you have to do in order to avoid the attack. It doesn't list out every single attack performed in the dungeon, likewise just like this videos, but it does give you a very good starting point. This is also the same reason why I know there's a phase 3 despite never actually encountering it myself, because it's listed in the in-game guide, so something to consider here. Overall, this game is relatively easy and casual. Unlike some of the other MMOs, this game basically spells out what you need to do on the screen for you, so just follow the on-screen instruction whenever you're confused. But with that being said, as always, thank you guys for watching this video or the rest of the guide on the channel as well. Be sure to subscribe, like, comment below, and I'll see you guys in the game.